Hello everyone, once again, this is Packs and Recreation, and today we're going to talk about the pre-con decks from March of the Machine. And we have 5 of them. So we have Divine Convocation, Cavalry Charge, Tinker Time, Growing Threat, and last and maybe least, Call for Backup. So 5 different decks, and they come with new stuff. Ironically, all of these decks come with less new designs than the previous Commander decks from previous generations, but they try to compensate by including plane chase cards on them. That's up to each person to judge if that's worth it or not. We are going to just go at them in a random order. Let's see. So first, Call for Backup. Call for Backup is a red, green, white deck that has Bright Palm Soul Awakener as a commander. And as you can see, it includes 10 plane chase cards with a die and a sample booster. So let's crack it open and show you how is it. The first thing to notice is that they changed the format of the boxes slightly because of the plane chase cards. There is no elegant way of opening this one, not that I can see, which is a shame because Commander decks of the past, and give me a second here, because Commander decks of the past came, in my opinion, a little bit of a better packaging. Obviously, a lot bulkier, but you can just open and there you go. In this case, there is not such thing. So just some mental prepping for the fact that this is lesser cardboard. The good cardboard is the one that is inside, I guess. So let's see. There is no honor in opening this. So let's see, is there an insert or something here? There you go. So the empty shell of a deck and the holder, the envelope, the counters, and some dividers, the deck box, and the most important thing, the deck itself, right? So here's the deck. Life counter, insert, and tokens. And right in there is the little die to play plane chase. So we're going to talk about that in a second. The first one is obviously, look at the others. Well, this is a nice change that you have a divider from your commander. That's interesting. And then, the usual pop-outs that you get with it. So paper deck box, nothing to see here, nothing to get too excited. The deck, the life counter, which is nice, I guess, but I don't know anyone that uses it. The counters, the envelope that we're going to see in a second, and the insert. So let's see the insert, just because cool art's gonna be cool, right? So some background on the commander and how to play the deck. And on the other side, the special rules of Commander and also plane chase. So that's very nice of them to include some instructions on how to play plane chase, because I don't think most people know. And then obviously there's the die for plane chase, and here are the plane chase cards. So, and also the collector booster sample. So the plane chase cards, I don't remember the exact numbers, but some of them are new designs, some are not. I think it's half of them are new, half of them are reprints, which is nice, I guess. And they're oversized cards, as you can see. And Chaotic Ether is a phenomenon. And then you have the planes themselves. So how do you play with plane chase? And I promise I'm not going to do this for every deck, but basically how you play with these is that you put it face down Either each player has their own 10 card deck, so exactly what it comes with, or you have one shared between all the players. And Commander is an ideal format for this because casual, multiplayer, etc. But originally the Plane Chase products came with 60 cards, 60 card decks for you to play with. And as long as this thing is facing up, its effect applies, right? So this commander is obviously from Kamigawa, so here we are, Towashi, plain Kamigawa. Modified creatures you control have trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. And if you pull Chaos, you get, whenever Chaos ensues, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. How do you get Chaos? Well, the only way of changing planes, so of discarding this card and pulling a new one, is by throwing the die and paying and using a sorcerer, right? So you don't do anything. You only plane chase or planeswalk when you get the planeswalker symbol. And if you get the chaos symbol, then the chaos effect activates, right? So in true Magic fashion, that's how it goes. So I'm going to read them in detail because, I mean, you know what it comes with. So Chaotic Ether, Junt from Alara, Bloodhill Bastion from Equilor, Karasha Foothills from Mongseng, Groove of the Dream Ponds from Fabasin, Mega Flora Jungle from Gargantica, the Riptide Island from Dominaria, the Great Eyrie from Tarkir, the Golden City of Oraska from Ixalan, and Towashi from Kamigawa. So, and there's a phenomenon. So I think it comes with one phenomenon card. Why do I like this so much? Well, besides the gameplay factor, which, you know, it's like a party mode, or it's like playing Mario Kart with items pretty much. Besides that, so deck, we're going to go in a second. I like it because it gives a bunch of possibilities in terms of, lore and flavor for you to see places that normally you don't get to see, or they only get mentioned in the lore or something. In this case, you actually get to see them because they have a specific cards for them, right? So this is the collector booster sample, and there's a secret there, promo. So there you go. Thalia, Guardian of Traben, which is a nice card from the Legends of the Multiverse, and Imoti, Celebrant of Bounty, also Legend of the Multiverse. So as we know from other videos that we did, the March of the Machine boosters are 2-in-1, in the sense that you get cards from March of the Machine, but also you get cards from Legends of the Multiverse, which means that for every, it's like 2 sets into 1. So the plastic card for the commander is Bright Palm, Soul Awakener, for 1 red, 1 green, and 1 white. It's a legendary creature, Fox Shaman, or Shaman. It has backup 1, and whenever this creature attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on target creature. That creature can be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less this turn. So this is a nice commander in the sense that it's very basic to a degree. So the tokens, spirits and treasures, goblins that are slivers on the back, an elephant that is the city's blessing as well for Oraska, a butterfly, 3 butterflies that are city's blessings. Okay, I always like opening the tokens first so that I can guess what's going to be on the cards, or what cards are going to do what on the deck. Although, let's be honest, you should only buy commander decks if you know exactly what comes inside of them by watching videos like this one, or just looking at the card list. I mean, you can just buy them for the sake of having a commander deck from a team that you like visually, and just roll with it. But the more conscious way of doing it will be knowing exactly what cards are there. I'm just talking to try to distract you from the fact that I'm struggling to open the freaking deck. Okay, there you go. So this is a +1/+1 backup deck, as you can see by the commanders. So the main commander, we already saw it, Bright Palm, Soul Awakener. And the secondary commander is Shalai and Halar. Same price and colors than as the commander, is an angel elf, and is a flying vigilance. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, Shalai and Halar deals that much damage to target opponent. So what do you do with this deck? And the reference card. And now let's see. I'm just going to go through them, okay? And just call it if I see something that's important as I explain what you do with this deck. As you can see, this is the usual +1/+1 game that you get with green and white, being that the difference here is that they decided to add red cards into the mix. So you have a lot of aggressiveness, you have a lot of surprises there. You have obviously big creatures such as big in terms of cost, but backup is the name of the game, not only because of the commander, but most of the big cards in here are so because of the effect. Some cards like these seem nice, like this Elephant Soldier seems like a card that is like super useful, but it's not really. This is the most expensive card, by the way, that was reprinted in all the commander decks from March of the Machine, the Kalonian Hydra, and it's a 3 and 2 green that has trample. Whenever it enters the battlefield, it enters with 4 +1/+1 counters on it, and whenever Hydra attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Which you can tell that with cards such as this and everything that has a backup. In this case, it has backup 1, backup 1, backup 1. And backup, just to refresh, means that when this creature enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. If that's another creature, it gains the following abilities at the end of turn, until the end of turn. And each backup ability triggers separately. So they get trample in the case of this card, and in the case of your commander, they get the after ability. So the most expensive card, obviously the price is going to go down because it's being reprinted here. But this is actually the best card in terms of price or value, if you care about that, in this deck. Anything else is just very standard. The deck is kind of slow to play with, to be honest. I'm opening these ones, but I already opened some the same decks off camera as we played so far, so they could have some analysis for this. But this is, I mean, you really have to, you can tell that they put red in here to make it faster, because otherwise the deck just feels like your usual token +1/+1 party deck. But even with red here, this deck feels very slow to play with. So overall, the upgrades will need to be in the order of some ramp to get it moving, because as you can see by the cost of the cards that we're pulling so far, some of them are crazy expensive or need to have enough mana for them to be relevant. But most of them are just wishing that you do something with them, and it's all about counters +1/+1/+1/+1. And ironically, besides the Hydra that works as a sort of proliferate, you don't see much proliferate here. I don't know if proliferate is nowadays is just too attached to Phyrexia, and thematically this is not a Phyrexian deck, so that was not the reason it was considered there. But it seems like a good mechanic to be put here. But ironically, at the same time, you can tell that the whole theme of the deck is just when something enters the battlefield, in this case, Rishkar, for example, you get +1/+1 counters, and you get +1/+1 counters on everything. So that's the name of the game here. If you want to put some upgrades here, it's as easy as going to a database and putting +1/+1 counters, and you get pretty much what is going on here. It has some lands like these ones that you have the tree, you have the full set that they enter tapped, and when it enters the battlefield is cry 1, so at least you get some flexibility, but it doesn't give you speed. So obviously, well, this I think is something that can be applied to most commander precons, is that if you have some sort of fetch lands or something, then your speed increases significantly, which is necessary. In this case, I don't know, I liked playing with this game, but that's mostly because I'm a sucker for green and white, and I felt that all the red spells here helped my cause, but I never felt overly powerful while playing it. Like, obviously, then again, let's be honest here, these are pre-con decks, so in the power scale, they are not a 7, and you can tell by the effects here that you're going with a pretty standard strategy. I mean, these are the cards that are in every commander deck nowadays, so the commander decks are not really 99 cards, they're more like 93, because you always have the same 6 staples that are necessary in every commander deck. But I mean, to be fair, the name of the deck is Call for Backup. So if for some reason you were asking for something else, is the commander good enough for what we're seeing up to this point? Well, you have some defense cards, I guess, such as General's Gift. You can remove a lot of this deck and upgrade it very easily and very cheaply with some other stuff. You have some maybe commanders such as Hamza there, but overall is it's just a matter of speed. If you get it going, is a very big pain in the ass for the other player. If you don't get it going, then it's going to be a pain in the ass for you, because it becomes a very boring deck to play with, and you feel like you're doing paperwork. You're just waiting for your turn so that you can, okay, there I go, and then you just do your stuff, So, and then all the lands, basic set of lands, accent on the green. So you see these, you see the commanders. You can interchange them pretty much, but the default commander is better in my humble opinion. It's not like the better commander. It's not the best commander of all time, but it's better given the context. This is not the worst deck of the 5, not the best either. Depending on your perspective, I've seen some people commenting that this deck is one of the best, and at the same time, some people saying that this deck is one of the worst. Up to anyone's criteria, I guess. This deck, however, is the one that most people say is the worst deck. And what should you pay for it? Well, I will not tell you to pay full price for it, that's for sure. I think that it triggers so much when this happens. I think that these are decks that are not really worth the full MSRP. I mean, well, we need to give them some credit in the sense that they included some more stuff now. Like there is they're playing chase cards and all that. So, at least for once, you get more for your money. Tinker, Tailor, Token, Die. Oh, this is nice, by the way. This is one of those things that only I care about. There are things that were in the bottom of the commander decks. When you open the other commander decks, you had a line of text right where the strip was. This don't have it. So in this case, learn right spiritual self-help secrets. It's not as funny as the lines that we will get in the other, and in this case is Tinker, Tailor, Token, Die, which is a very good summary of the deck, I will say. So that's the end of the video right there. So again, deck box, the die. The die in this case is blue. So not all of them are the same. They kind of go along with the commander. That's also a very neat guide or trick if you want to guess the color of the sleeves, because I know that for some people that's a big deal. That is like, oh, what color of sleeves can I put with my commander, and you don't know. Personally, I go with the card, not so much with the mana colors. I go with the card, like, oh well, this should be like gold sleeves or maybe purple sleeves because of the color. But the die says no, it's blue. So if you want to simplify your life, you can go with that. In terms of insert, I know I'm the only person that cares about the inserts. And no one cares about them. The day that they remove them, because no one reads them, people are going to complain. So some context on Gimbal, Gremlin Prodigy, and how to play the deck, and the special rules of Commander, etc., 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 etc. So it's always nice to have some context. Deck and tokens, and plane chase cards in an envelope. So let's see. 1 second to organize this, because this is getting really messy very fast. So what plane chase cards are in this deck? Again, I'm going to try to go at a decent speed. So Plain White Disaster, this is a phenomenon. Glimmer Void Basin from Mirrodin, rest in peace. Selesnya Loft Gardens from Ravnica. Isle of Vesuva from Dominaria. Stronghold Furnace from Wrath. The Wilds from Eldraine, which is the name of the next set, Wilds of Eldraine. Girapur from Kaladesh. The Western Cloud from Gobakan. 10 Wizards Mountain from Shenmei. New Argive from Dominaria, and that's it. Okay, so these are the plane chase cards. Let's see what's in the collector booster sample. That is even more dangerous to open than, even though they crack kind of easily. I guess because no one is X-raying the whole box, so it's just made of a different material. So publicity card and Rowan's Talent, full art, Commander deck card. So this card is somewhere here. And Inga Runais, Multiverse Legends. Very nice. Let's see the tokens from Gimbal Gremlin Prodigy. Static and glows don't go together. Plastic cards. So legendary creature, Gremlin Artificer, for 2, 1 green, 1 blue, and 1 red. It says artifact creatures you control have trample, and at the beginning of your end step, create a 0/0 red Gremlin artifact creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of differently named artifact tokens you control. You are what you eat, and everything he'd eaten was brilliant. He had eaten. So I will talk about the commander in a second. Let's see the tokens. Top there. Okay, for a second, you will wish that everything was a top there. 2 couple of beasts, 2 treasures that are gremlins, golems that are a clue and blood. So vampires and everything in the some modern topters, or different topters at least. Gold, feathers, and food that are a servo and a replicated ring. So what's up with this deck? It's called Tinker Time. I have to say, just by looking at the arts of these decks and the name of the decks and the colors, when they show you the boxes, basically, The one I was the most excited for was Tinker Time, because I have a thing for artifacts, and it really hits different when it is an artifact deck. So, and the commanders for this deck are Gimbal, which we already saw, and Rashmi and Ragavan. And we all love Ragavan. This one is a little bit cheaper, so it's one green, one blue, and one red. Legendary creature, Elf Monkey. Whenever you cast your first spell during each of your turns, exile the top card of target opponent library and create a treasure token. Then you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. If it is a spell with mana value less than the number of artifacts you control, if you don't cast it this way, you may cast it this turn. Okay, for a 2/4, not bad. I prefer the actual commander though, and we're going to talk about it in a second as we go forward with the deck. So, Tinker Time. As I was saying, Tinker Time, it was the deck that I was the most excited for because, I love myself some artifacts, and I love the whole idea of, mixing green, blue, and red around artifacts. And to a degree, the deck works, but I feel that the commander is better than the deck itself. Like, the deck is not bad. I mean, it's not good, but the deck is not bad. Obviously, if Pia and Kairan Nalar. Okay. Obviously, if you want to build a deck on your own, if you like the commander, I will say just buy the commander and build your own. Like, it's artifact creatures you control have trample, and then it creates stuff, and the power is equal to the different types of artifacts you control. Have an artifact deck that is based on vehicles. That commander will fit great in there. Ironically, maybe not as the commander, because the commander favors, crew and the whole crew mechanic, which is essential for vehicles. But if you have more conventional artifacts, the commander just fits right in there perfectly. But the rest of the deck, to me at least, doesn't feel like it's up to the commander. Like, the commander has a very good idea. I don't know how they design these things. I don't know if they ever explain it. Part of me wants to believe that the way they design these things is that they come up with an idea for the commander and then they build the deck around it, which if I worked at Wizards of the Coast, I guess that would be the most logical way to build a commander deck from scratch, meaning that Wizards creates cards for commander, so they have that power, because that will be the similar thing to what we do when we build a commander deck. So you pick a creature that you like a lot, the creature becomes your commander, and then you build everything around it. That's why a good commander deck, or well, maybe not good, but like a commander deck is something that you love and it's very personal, precisely because you build around it and around your tastes, and be it because of lore, because of mechanics. Good reprint, by the way. That's how you go. I will assume that they go like, what would be a good idea? A creature that does this and that as a commander, and then they create the card. If that's the case, I don't know if they put them a limit. I don't know how it works, because obviously, if you work at Wizards, and the design team that they have there has to be people that knows not all the magic cards, but like has a very good understanding of the existing Magic cards, and every good online database allows you to search for everything that you need just by using keywords or effects. And you can do that in your house, and then you can come up with an amazing Commander deck that costs you like $2,000. Obviously, if you are at Wizards, you need to design it taking that into consideration and taking the prices into consideration, because obviously they're not going to just reprint $2,000 into a $45 cards, into a $45 deck. That's not how it works. Good reprint, by the way. But I guess, do they have a limit or something? It doesn't seem to be a hard limit, because sometimes the decks are very far away from each other in terms of price when it comes to reprints and new designs and stuff like that. But there has to be some guide. And with this deck, I don't know how they distribute the creation points. Like if it was an RPG or something, it really feels that everything went to the commander, and everything else was like, oops, I only have $10, and they had to build around it. I'm being overly cruel with the deck, because there are some good reprints that, like the Opulence card, what was the name? The one with the gold. That's like a $5 card or something. So like, obviously there are some cards of value if you care about that, but it's not the main priority. And as you can see, the mana base is very, very simple, very straightforward. So I don't feel this is the worst deck. Technically on paper, yes, this is the worst of the pre-con decks, but it's not its fault. The deck didn't mean to. No, compared to all the other decks, for example, what's the name? Call for Backup. Call for Backup feels lazy, even though it has a very good reprint on it, which is the Hydra and stuff. This one feels like the idea was good for the commander. Like, this was a good idea. And then they run out of steam. Like, I don't know, but at least there is some creativity there. There is some initiative here, which is something that I appreciate. So I will have to put this one above Tinker Time, above Call for Backup, mostly because it feels like it's trying to do something. Like it's trying at least, right? Even though the rest of the deck feels like, you had to submit your school work or the school report like the night before, and they just rushed it. It feels like it. It's kind of fun to play, but it really needs some better synergies with the commander. Like the commander is the best thing on that deck, to be honest. Then coming up next, Growing Threat. This is, of the 5, this is the only one that is only 2 colors instead of 3. And this is the one that is Phyrexian themed. So let's see how it goes. In terms of what does this deck do? Well, this is a Phyrexian tribal thing. Brismas still has his pride. Does he though? Because, he fell to Phyrexia, so there is that. Magic Envelope, the box, we can skip that. Deck, insert, life counter, and the die for this one is obviously white and red, like Elish Norn, which is a very good detail that I hope was intentional. So insert cards and the thing. Let's see the insert because I am the only person that cares about this. Obviously, it's not poster material because it comes all banded, but So Brismas, Blight of Oreskos, and then the special rules, which is the same for everyone. They didn't try to put double art or anything, but at least the art in here, which is the art in the box, is different from the art in the card, which is something that they will likely try to sell us in the collector boosters. So the cards, the envelope, Plane Chase cards, and collector sample. So let's see the collector sample. Like it's kind of already open to a degree. I don't even have to try. Secret layer, blah, blah, blah. Sea double. This spell can't be copied. Choose one. If an opponent has 8 or more cards in the graveyard, you may choose both. Copy target spells. You may choose new targets for the copy. Creature, a token that's a copy of target creature. And full art, this is nice. And Rona, Shieldred's Faithful from Legends of the Multiverse, or Multiverse Legends, or whatever is it that wizards call it. So the Plane Chase cards, Spatial Merging. I'm curious to see what's people's perspective in regards to the Plane Chase cards. I mean, if we're here just to account for cardboard or for like, oh, give me stuff for the sake of giving me stuff, then yes, the Plane Chase cards are great. But if we are here, like, are Commander players really going to play Plane Chase? Like, are they going to look at this and be like, oh, this is nice? Or like, I will talk about that in a second. Let's just go over it. The Either Flus from Iquatana, the Great Forest from Lorwyn, Panopticon from Mirrodin, sad, Undercity Riches from Ravnica, Nyx from Theros, The Pit from The Abyss, which is a very lazy name for a plane, I'm not gonna lie, Esper from Alara, Nactamoon from Amonkhet, Ketria from Ikoria, and again, Spatial Margin. So, I'm curious, are Magic the Gathering players going to play Plane Chase? One thing that I have realized as years pass is that even though Magic the Gathering is a board game, and 1 second, this is the commander, this is the plastic cards, so Brismas, Blight of Oreskos. For 2, 1 white and 1 black, is a Phyrexian cat. And whenever you cast a Phyrexian creature or artifact creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. And explains how to incubate. At the beginning of each end step, if a Phyrexian died under your control this turn, proliferate. This is a very, very good commander for Phyrexian Tribal, as we're going to see in a second. And then obviously all the tokens are around that. So Phyrexian Horrors, Phyrexian Golems, a Construct, Incubators, which are double-sided tokens. So this is this is a stealing wizard. Normally you give me 10 tokens. Double-sided tokens don't count. Phyrexian Germ, and Mirrors, an Angel, or 3 Angels, and Demons. I love this duality. The duality, I push my fingers into man. So, in regards to Plane Chase, I think that Magic the Gathering players, regardless of being casual or not, Magic the Gathering has this aura to it that it is a different game. Even though on paper, by definition, and if you ask, I don't know, ChatGPT or something, it is a board game because you need a board to play it, and well, it has cards, and we like to call it TCG and pull all these barriers to it. But I mean, it is a board game. The only difference is that a board game is self-contained and Magic the Gathering is not, at least not the current iterations of Magic the Gathering. Second commander, by the way, is Moira and Teshar, Phyrexian Spirit Bird. And for 3, 1 white and 1 black, it has flying, and whenever you cast a historic spell, return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. If it will leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. And artifact, legendaries, and sagas are historic. And then on your turn. So, what's up with this? I like Plane Chase. It gives it a more, Mario Party flavor kind of thing to the deck. and to the game itself. By the way, great card, like underrated card right here. It's very good. Excise the Imperfect, and also very nice art. For 1 and 2 white, you is an instant that it says exile target non-land permanent. Its controller incubate X, where X is his mana value. So perfect for this deck, and very good card overall. The thing is that for once, I liked, for example, the dual decks. It was like a board game. Very good card. You basically, if you have a friend, you're just like, oh, you want to play some Magic, and you just pop it, and there you go. Which, if you live with normal people, meaning people that don't have their own decks of Magic the Gathering, and they don't, update them, and they don't play standard and all that stuff, then, the best way for you to play with them is to have a deck that is already built. But obviously, if you have your deck and you're a try-hard, which is normally the case because we love this game, your deck is going to be chicky chicky bang bang, right? So you can't really play in fairgrounds with them. And also, you don't want to give them your deck because maybe it's a very complex deck and you need some knowledge to use it, etc. But sometimes you just want to play Magic, and sometimes you want to show the game to someone in the hopes that people will be like, wow, I really like this game. Where do you buy a deck? That type of logic. And for that, I love the dual decks. And they were actually very cheap for what they were. And they were designed to battle against each other, and it was very nice. In this case, for example, these 5 commander decks come at the same time, but they're obviously not designed to go after against each other. Even when we have only 2 commander decks, for example, in Brothers War, which you have Mishras and Urzas, you could argue that they are kind of made to go against each other, but they're not really made to go against each other. Like, yes, you can, but not really. And it's a shame because in terms of flavor, it's the Brothers War, so there was no better time ever to have 2 decks battling each other and being so appropriate. And in this case, there are 5 different decks. When it was the Strixhaven School of Magic, the reasoning was like, oh, there are different schools of magic, so the decks are different, which is like, yes, I guess. In this case, it feels like kind of a shame. You have the Plane Chase cards, yes, because March of the Machine goes across the multiverse and you have stuff everywhere, but it really doesn't feel like it. Like, this is the only deck that feels really like it's part of the thing. Like, and it's not the best deck. And to a degree, I will hope that this deck was the best or one of the strongest. And this deck is kind of in the mid. It's kind of okay. Like, it is obviously a very good tribal Phyrexian deck, and the commander is all about that, and you incubate, and it's a very horrific deck to play with. Is certainly better than Call for Backup in terms of synergies, and the commander is very good standalone. And if you just pick cards from March of the Machine and Phyrexia all will be one, the commander just goes with it. And not even that, like, most of the upgrades that you can do to this deck are from those 2 sets, which are the most recent sets, so cards are not that expensive, and you can just upgrade it endlessly. And just play around with it and have fun, because, these cards apparently are our staples, but it feels like the bad guys, and sadly it doesn't feel like the deck of the bad guys, because if you look at the themes of the decks, this is the Phyrexian deck. You have an Angel deck, kind of, because it's more of a Convocation deck. You have a Knight deck, which is the one from Salfir, even though it's not 100% Salfir. You have the Kamigawa kind of deck, which is the Call for Backup one, and the Tinker Time kind of thing. And I understand that the logic here is that, well, one is Phyrexian, so the theme is Phyrexians, which is this one, and everything is about Phyrexia, and everything is about the big bad guys and incubating and etc., which is a thing in the normal March of the Machine card, boosters. So I get it. Call for backup is more of a thing that happens in the story than an actual whatever, because they're calling for backup. And Tinker Time is because, well, some of them fight more creatively, with things. And then that takes us to the Angel deck. Like, the theme of the Angel deck is, well, angels are a very big part of this story because of Elspeth. So you need to have some divine convocation. And to some people, this is the second best deck. I have my doubts. I think that the Fire Action deck, Growing Thread, is better as a deck than this one. I think that this one has better cards that, individually, as we are going to see in a second. But the deck as a whole works a lot better in the Fire Action one. The Divine Convocation, just join the congregation of annihilation. Amen. So +1/+1 counters. Now, I don't know if you noticed so far, but all the counters are different depending on the deck, which is something that I always liked. To this moment, I still don't know how to open this. So the deck box and the stuff. Let's go to the stuff. The life counter, the insert. The die for this one is green, which really kind of doesn't match at all, but okay. Doesn't even have green in the colors. I mean, what the fuck? So the insert, for sake of inserting, the back side I can just ignore it. So Kasla, the Broken Halo, nice art. I prefer this art than the official art, but what do I know? And let's see the magic envelope. Overall, the Fire Action deck, I think it feels like a good tribal. I hope, and a part of me feels like Call for Backup can be a part of the Fire Action deck. The Fire Action deck, at the same time, which is called the Growing Thread, feels a little bit boring because, the Fairy's Talent, nice. Full art, very nice. And Eagar, the Freezing Flame. Very nice. So it feels like kind of boring because we've been having Fire Actions since February. So, 2 sets, just Fire Action stuff, and oil this, oil that. Ironically, that deck has nothing to do with oil and more with incubation, which is the thing that the Fire Actions do now, because apparently they forgot about oil. Maybe that's why they lost so fast in their own invasion. Reality Shaping is the phenomenon for these Plane Chase cards. And then Gavony from Innistrad, or Gavoni from Innistrad. Hedron Fields of Agadim from Zendikar. Krosa from Dominaria, Stensia from Innistrad, so Angels, so a lot of Innistrad, Valor's Reach from Kylem, Strixhaven from Arcavius, The Fertile Lands of Solvinia from Antausia, Enigma Ridges from Equire, Norn's Seed Core from New Phyrexia, which is different from Mirrodin. And then here we are again at Reality Shaping. So, not bad. Not bad at all. And now for the tokens. This deck, I think this deck gets more points than it really deserves to a certain degree, mostly because of the commander. In this case, the commander is Kasla, the Broken Halo, which for 3, 1 blue, 1 red, and 1 white, gives you a legendary Angel Ally, which is a 5/4. It has Convoke, which is your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting this spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. It has Flying, Vigilance, Haste, And whenever you cast another spell that has Convoke, scry 2 and then draw a card. So this is a Convoke tribal, as you can see by the commander. Tokens are Bird and Kobolds of Carekeep, or Kobolds, Spirit, a Flying Spirit, and another Flying Spirit, but this is a 1/1 and this is a 1/1 as well, so Blue Spirit and White Spirit pretty much. A Warrior, and Elspeth's Sun's Champion emblem, because, well, spoilers, the card is in the deck. Soldier, Insect, Eldrazi with Annihilator 1, Angel, Squid, Human. This is the most varied deck of all of them in terms of tokens. Tentacle, Human, Goblin, Eldrazi, Elemental, and Elemental Fairy. So, not bad. And now for the piece de resistance. As I was saying, as I'm now struggling with this one, I know that many of you will be looking at this and will be like, but why are you not just pulling the thing? Well, because the thing doesn't want to be pulled, my friend. Oh, well, actually, oops. I said nothing. So, do you feel that Magic counts as a board game? I feel that it does to a degree, and I feel that people underestimate the beauty of it as a board game. So the commander, put this here so that it's easier, and the helping commander, the secondary commander, which is Saint Draft and Rem Carolus. 1 blue, 1 red, 1 white, is a spirit human, and for 3/4, whenever Saint Draft and Rem Carolus becomes tapped, create a 1/1 red human creature token. If this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn, if it's the second time, create a 1/1 blue spirit. That's why we had different types of spirit and humans with flying. If it's the third time, you create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Whenever you cast a spell that has Convoke, on tap, Saint Draft and Rem Carolus. So again, Convocation is the name of the game. One thing that I like to do, for example, with Commander, because Commander is a lot more forgiving than other formats. By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, this is kind of the Innistrad deck, more or less. Fluxchaser Phantom, which I find it very funny because this is a new card and it's just a ghost that chases birds, which is a thing apparently. Wildfire Awakener. I feel that in this deck, I mean, this card doesn't have anything to do with here, like you can remove it. This deck obviously goes around Convoke, but doesn't depend on it that much as you are seeing by the cards, I hope. Like, yes, you have great cards such as Elspeth, Sun's Champion, and which, you know, is also appropriate for the theme of the whole thing, the Locust God. And overall, you have good balance of creatures here and not very cost effective. You have a bunch of angels because that's kind of the theme visually, but not in terms of mechanics. In terms of mechanics, it is supposed to be Convoke, and you don't have that much Convocation besides supporting cards, right? Like, Wizards has never been too comfortable playing with Convoke. I don't know exactly why. I think because it's kind of easy to break. So it's kind of a shame because you have stuff here that really leans into the, oh, well, whenever you do this, Convoke. Whenever you do that, Convoke. But the most powerful cards here, such as the Commander, say, well, if you did a Convoke, you also do that. And as you were saying, like, Convoke is a thing, but it's not a thing. The mana base, at least, is stronger than some of the other decks. It's not ideal, but at the very least it's stronger. I feel that Convoke also has a problem, that is that, well, if a card has Convoke, normally that means that it is a very expensive card, and you are using something else to help you with. And in this case, Ephemeral Shields, this is one of the exceptions in the sense that it's a 1 white. You can Convoke for it, and target creature gains indestructible until the end of turn, which is nice. But normally you need something to use for Convoke, so that's why you need to have smaller creatures there. But things like this are very good. Whenever it comes tapped, it deals 1 damage to any target. So these are the type of cards that you need to inject into the deck, besides the ones that it already comes with, is whenever it becomes tapped, it does X, right? And why? Because you are going to tap stuff in order to use Convoke. And that's what gives speed to your deck. You can cheat the mana system to a degree if you have the proper things on the deck and on the battlefield. And if you have stuff on the battlefield that, when tapped, does something else, then you go. I feel that also most of the Convoke cards I think are white, so there is that. The rest is there to support your efforts. If I had to rank this deck, I like it thematically because there's a bunch of Innistrad and there's a bunch of Angels, and I like the theme. And see, you have like a bunch of it, and they Convoke each other, and it's very nice and very beautiful. I like it more. So if I have to pick, then you have like people from other planes, because why not? I guess this will be my second favorite deck. It's, at least it's very fun to play with. Like, the idea, like, the deck has a central theme to it, but it doesn't rely on it to the death. And you can, like, whenever it so I guess that also makes it a weaker deck, maybe, depending on how you like your commander decks. Like, if you like your commander decks to be all about that ability that your commander has, or that skill that your commander has, and just hammer that thing down, this one is not like that all the time, because, well, you see, like, it's convocable, but then the scry and draw a card is not that good. It's kind of okay, and your power really comes from all the other cards in the deck. This is what most people consider the best deck of the pre-cons of March of the Machine, and we're going to see why in a second. The reason is that this deck is actually a very good tribal deck, and besides that, there's also another reason why people like it a lot, and it's the financial value. This deck is the one that likely has the most financial value, and Night of the Living Dead is a very good title. Sidar Jabari of Salfir is a creature that has an original card, which is just Sidar Jabari, and the card was not that good, to be honest. If you go look it up, it's kind of bad, actually. But this one redeemed Sidar Jabari, as you know, they are redeemed themselves. Okay, well, there goes the die. Metallic die with red, which I guess fits the theme of the knights and life counter. And, well, Sidar Jabari is silver and red, so I guess there is that. Let's see the insert, because why not? I want that in my gravestone. Let's see the insert. Sidar Jabari of Salfir. This deck is the one that, if you don't count the Hydra that is in Call for Backup, this is the deck with the most valuable reprints and cards. So that's why you will find it the most expensive. It is also the best deck, mathematically speaking, not only because of value, but also because of gameplay. And you will realize it as you see the cards, and we talk about the mechanics that are there, but it really goes with the theme of what we were discussing with Divine Convocation, which is, do you want your deck to do something? Oh, well, well, I guess we have the full art commander now in case we needed it for Tinker Time. And Renata, Call to the Hunt. Nice. So, what's the thing? What's the thing with? Do you want a deck that does one thing very well, or you want a deck that just does stuff? Well, let's see the Plane Chase cards, and then we're going to discuss it very briefly. Phenomenon is Mutual Epiphany, and then Orochi Colony from Kamigawa, Turri Island from Ir, Zokensan from Kamigawa, Truga Jungle from Ergamon, Litzjara from Kaldheim, Paliano from Fiora, Inisheim from Kride, Kridhi, I don't know, De Caldaya from Capena, Uniaro from Salfir, and Mutual Epiphany again. One thing that I like about the Plane Chase cards, besides the fact that, well, we get to see places that we normally don't get to see, and March of the Machine and the Invasion cards, is that Wizards suddenly remembered that they have a bunch of planes that we just know by name pretty much, so we actually get to see more of them because of this, which is very nice. So this is the commander, Sidar Jabari of Salfir, for 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 black. It's a legendary creature, human knight, and it has eminence. Whenever you attack with 1 or more knights, if Sidar Jabari of Salfir is in the command zone or on the battlefield, draw a card and then discard a card. Flying, first strike, and whenever Sidar Jabari deals combat damage to a player, return target knight creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it's a 4/3. So right here, you can see why this is considered the best commander of the set, besides the deck. Like, it works both on the battlefield and on the command zone, and then when you have it, it has first strike and flying, so it goes over. Whenever it does combat damage, you can just bring a knight from the graveyard to the battlefield, which is pretty much what happens at the end because of all the people from Salfir come back, etc. There's, obviously there are some knight tokens. There are spirits on one side, a vampire knights, because that's also a knight, so it qualifies, and soldiers, which are knights to be, a blood, because vampires, and a shapeshifter, a zombie knight, because that counts as a knight, humans, which are knight to be as well, knights with vigilance, and they are pretty much the same. Well, this is a white knight creature, and this is a white-black knight creature. So, assassins, the monarch, and a shapeshifter. So, let's see the deck that everyone loves. Let's see the deck that everyone wants. Let's see the deck that creates ruffles the feathers in the helmet of Sidar Jabari of Zalfir. So the commander is Sidar Jabari, and the co-commander is Elenda and Azor. So as you can see, all the sub-commanders are basically team-up cards. For 3, 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 black is a Vampire Knight Sphinx. That's why we have so many vampire things. Has flying and ward 2. And whenever Elenda and Azor attacks, you may pay X. You may pay X, 1 white, 1 black, and 1 blue. If you do, draw X cards. At the beginning of each end step, you may pay 4 life. If you do, create a number of 1/1 black Vampire Knight creature tokens with lifelink equal to the number of cards you have drawn this turn. And it's a 6/6. Then on your turn, and let's see the deck. So this deck is true tribal, and the commander just resonates with it. You will see that most of the cards are knights in one way or another, and their effects just play with each other. See, like other knights you control have horsemanship, and horsemanship is this creature can be blocked except by creatures with horsemanship. So non-token knights, whenever a knight, whenever a knight. So you will see that all the deck is very well built. It's built by someone that basically put the word knight into the database, and it's like, okay, this, and say create blue knights, do knights, knight, and knight. So what is the thing here? When I was talking about the previous deck, so Divine Convocation, remember that I told you, you prefer a deck that does everything following the commander's ability, or you prefer a deck that is more versatile and kind of can go different ways. Some people will tell you that, a good card by the way, some people will tell you that a good Magic the Gathering deck is like a good system. It is to do one thing and do it excellently. Like it is to do it perfectly. That's why pro players and any good Magic the Gathering deck basically has the minimum cards necessary, and then it has 4 copies of each card, so that the one strategy that they have, they can reproduce it every time. Sometimes you can have a backup strategy, and that's acceptable, but most of the times they are built like a kind of a glass cannon. Let's try to get to my strategy as fast as I can, and if I did, then we win. If I didn't, well, it sucks. We try next game, maybe by changing some pieces on my war machine. But some players prefer to have some versatility, but that's a problem. In the case of Commander, well, you are bound to have some versatility because there are 100 different cards, besides the lands, obviously. So you can equip some versatility, and being honest, if you actually do a Commander deck the way it's meant to be played, and I'm not talking about NVIDIA, so you are bound to have some cards all over the place, because the original Commander was intended for you. Excellent card, by the way, sleeper card right here. The original Commander was intended as, leftovers, basically, like your cards that you had laying around, just build a deck with it, yada, yada, yada. So sometimes you have cards that's like, well, it kind of fits more or less, and just went with it. Nowadays it is a lot more professional, but this deck, as you can see, is all around knights and the colors. So it's all knight. The number of knights you control. So it's a very good knight tribal deck that plays around with it, with a very strong commander that works even when it's not on the battlefield. So that's different from Divine Convocation. Divine Convocation, I love knights as a team, so you can pretty much guess that, well, this is my favorite deck. Besides the fact that, well, it's the best deck, so obviously it's going to be the favorite. It already is. If you look up prices, this one is jacked up. Don't pay for markups, by the way. But the whole feeling of this deck is that everything is connected and everything feels like part of the strategy, unless the other player has a card that says, like, say a creature type, that thing cannot play again, so you're fucked because everything is a knight. But compared to Divine Convocation is like, well, it's Angel Tribal, but no, and it has Convoke Tribal-ish, because there's not a tribe, but you get what I mean. But no, because not every card works for that, and it has 3 colors, so it kind of plays around 3 colors to a degree. So I don't know, this one feels like, those 2016, 2017, well, maybe not that good, because those were like very good and very powerful decks, but this feels like a consistent deck, like a very good deck, and it will give you consistent results, which is what people want when they play with a commander deck, if they don't want it for the lulz, kind of. So overall, um, obviously, if you count for financials, then yes, this is the best deck. That's why it's the most expensive as well, and that's why you will find us the most expensive, being that Call for Backup only has the most expensive reprint, but it doesn't mean that it's the best card at all. Now, talking about the decks, since I already opened the boxes, and I do this live because I'm crazy, let's go with the commanders. So, Divine Convocation, Growing Thread, Call for Backup, Tinker Time, which you can tell that this one is the actual card, not the plastic one. Okay, here it is. Let's put some consistency here. Like you can tell a lot, obviously because different materials, but Tinker Time and Cavalry Charge. So order for this. Well, I will say obviously Cavalry Charge first, then out of personal preference, Divine Convocation, then Embrace Mass, then Tinker Time, and then Call for Backup. That's my order, my personal order. If we're trying to go for market value, I guess it will be something like these, or maybe actually like this. If I recall correctly, maybe these can swap because of the Hydra, but the Hydra price already went down. If it's just like, oh, so what I will pick, I will tell you, like, if you're new to this, just pick the one that grabs your interest and just go with it. There is no best commander deck. If you actually go against a player that has a good commander deck, it's going to steamroll you over. So don't overthink it too much. Like, it's not worth it. You will go into it. I mean, it's a casual format. You're supposed to just have fun. But obviously, there's always that friend of yours or someone at the table is a tryhard and has an impressive deck that is very expensive. And if you have a precon, well, you tried. So if you want to have better chances, I will say this. Let's try to go as impartial as possible. I think that my impartial approach to it will be this, which is slightly different from myself. Better, second best. This is okay. This has potential. This is very boring. But right off the box, maybe something like this. And although I have seen this shifted quite significantly in some channels, but this is always the best. So if you like knights and you can grab Cavalry Charge, yeah, that's the best deck of this group of 5, no doubt. But if you like the angel themes or fire action theme with cats, well, that's very good as well. These are not bad per se. You just need to be more creative with them, or you just really need to like this. But I will say that overall, at least my personal pick will be something like this. That will be my personal order from left to right. So there is that. And this has been the longest video talking about pre-con decks. I hope that you like it. I hope that you had fun and it was entertaining and relaxing at the same time. And let me know if you would like to see something else or you would like to see something change. Open to feedback. Once again, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for spending time watching the videos on the channel. And have a nice day, night, evening, whatever it is at your time. This has been Packs and Recreation. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.